The cracks in my marriage began as whispers, subtle shifts in her routine, the lingering scent of unfamiliar cologne, the way her laughter softened during phone calls she claimed were from work. For months, I told myself I was paranoid. Clara had always been fiercely independent, her career in event planning demanding late nights and weekend commitments. But when she started wearing a silver necklace I'd never seen, a delicate chain with a crescent moon pendant, I stopped making excuses. One October evening, while she showered, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A notification lit the screen. "Can't wait for Friday, 8 p.m. The sender's name was hidden behind a heart emoji. My hands trembled as I scrolled through their messages. Flirtatious banter, plans for a weekend getaway, photos of her wearing that necklace in places I'd never taken her. The final blow was a video, time-stamped 2 nights prior, Clara laughing in a dimly lit bar, her fingers interlaced with a man's hand. His face was blurred, but his Rolex gleamed under the lights, a model I recognized from my boss's wrist. I didn't confront her. Instead, I began documenting everything. Security camera footage of her slipping into a black sedan at odd hours, receipts from hotels she'd never mentioned, even a second phone buried in her gym bag. The betrayal was meticulous, almost artistic in its cruelty, but Clara had underestimated my patience. She thought her double life was invisible, a masterpiece of deception. What she didn't realize was that invisibility worked both ways. While she curated her lies, I studied her patterns. Every Tuesday and Thursday, she visited a boutique spa downtown, a cover for meetings with him. I followed her once, watching as she entered a sleek high-rise instead. The doorman greeted her by name. Later, public records revealed the apartment belonged to Daniel Hartman, a venture capitalist whose name adorned charity galas and tech conferences. A man who thrived on reputation. The deeper I dug, the clearer the blueprint for revenge became. Daniel's world was built on image. His Instagram, a curated gallery of power suits, philanthropic gestures, and a picture-perfect family. His wife, Lila, chaired charity boards. Their twins attended a private academy. Clara was a disposable thrill, but her involvement threatened his empire. All I needed was to connect the threads. I started small. A fake LinkedIn profile, posing as a journalist researching ethical leadership in tech. Daniel accepted my connection request, flattered by the attention. Over weeks, I fed him questions about integrity, loyalty, the weight of public perception. His answers were polished, self-congratulatory. Meanwhile, I compiled screenshots of his text to Clara, timestamps overlapping with his family photos. The final piece came from an unlikely source, Clara's Instagram. A selfie she'd posted, captioned "Midnight Muse," showed her wearing the crescent necklace in a hotel mirror. Reflected in the glass was a half-open laptop, its screen displaying a spreadsheet titled Q4 Tax Evasion Adjustments. The logo in the corner matched Daniel's firm. I spent nights cross-referencing those numbers with public filings. Discrepancies piled up. Shell companies, offshore accounts, donations to fake charities. Daniel wasn't just a cheater. He was a fraud. And Clara, ever the opportunist, had unwittingly become his accomplice. By the time I filed for divorce, I had 2 folders, one for my lawyer, another for the IRS. But I held back. Letting the law dismantle them would be too quick, too impersonal. They deserved a collapse only human hands could engineer. A ruin they'd see coming, but couldn't stop. Revenge, I learned, was a slow poison. I began by leaking fragments of Daniel's financial crimes to a reporter at the Sentinel, framing it as a tip from a concerned employee. The story broke on a Monday, splashing across headlines. Tech philanthropist accused of multi-million-dollar tax fraud. By noon, his firm's stock plummeted. Cameras camped outside his office, capturing his ashen face as he denied everything. Clara, oblivious to her role, panicked. She called me that night, voice frayed. "Did you see the news? Daniel's in trouble. They're saying he stole money." I let silence stretch before replying, "I'm sure he'll survive. Men like him always do." She hung up, but not before I heard the tremor in her breath. Next, I targeted her reputation. Using a burner account, I uploaded the hotel selfie to a finance watchdog forum. Within hours, Reddit threads dissected the reflection in the mirror, linking Clara to Daniel's crimes. Anonymous comments speculated she was his mistress-turned blackmailer. Her Instagram flooded with hate, gold-digging whore, homewrecker. She deleted the app, but screenshots circulated endlessly. Daniel, now desperate, cut ties with her. I knew because I'd hacked her email, reading his terse farewell. "Do not contact me again." Clara spiraled, cancelling events, ignoring calls. She even reached out to me, begging for comfort. "I made mistakes," she sobbed over voicemail, "but I never meant to hurt you." I deleted it, savoring the irony. The final strike required precision. I rented a private server, creating a dummy website for a fake charity, the Hartman Family Foundation. Using cloned letterheads and voice-altering software, I donated $500,000 from Daniel's offshore accounts to the site, then leaked the transaction to the IRS. Auditors descended, unraveling his empire in weeks. His wife filed for divorce, taking the children. Reporters dubbed him the philanthropist fraud. Clara, now jobless and radioactive in her industry, sold the necklace to a pawn shop. I bought it anonymously, along with every piece of jewelry Daniel had given her. When the divorce finalized, I mailed them to her in a box labeled inventory. Months later, I attended Daniel's trial as a spectator. He pleaded guilty, sentenced to 15 years. As marshals led him away, he glanced at the gallery. Our eyes met. Recognition flickered, followed by dawning horror. He knew. Clara vanished, resurfacing in a small town as a waitress. A LinkedIn search showed gaps in her resume, a downward spiral from luxury events to diner shifts. I drove there once, watching through the window as she refilled coffee for truckers. Her hands shook. The crescent necklace was gone. I thought closure would taste sweet. Instead, it felt hollow, like ash. The man I'd been, the one who loved her, had died the moment I opened her phone. What remained was an architect of ruin, meticulous and merciless. One night, I received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a photo of Clara's pawned necklace and a note. "You missed a thread." Beneath it lay a USB drive containing footage from Daniel E.'s apartment security cameras. Time-stamped proof ID hacked his accounts. Panic surged, but then I laughed. Let them come. I'd already lost everything worth taking. The game had consumed us all, and in the end there were no winners, only survivors. I burned the USB, watching flames lick its edges. Some secrets deserved to die. Others, like the look on Daniel's face in that courtroom, were trophies enough. As for Clara, let her haunt diners and truck stops. Let her taste regret in every bitter cup of coffee. The world had erased her, and I, the ghost she created, would never let her forget why.